Information is power.
Mueller hauled before secret FISA court to address FBI abuses in 2002, Congress told. Very interesting. Now, I'm sure you guys may have heard of this, but I don't see really too many people or anybody at all covering it. I'm not saying nobody else has, but the fact that this was foretold to us by our favorite friend back in October. Why, what do you mean, Mike? All right, so before we get into that, let's just do a little diving into the story quick. Robert Mueller, the former FBI director and current special prosecutor in the Russia case, once was hauled before the nation's secret intelligence court to address a large number of instances in which the FBI cheated on sensitive surveillance warrants, according to evidence gathered by congressional investigators. So how about that? FBI cheated on sensitive surveillance warrants? Is that FISA? Is anybody hearing deja vu? For most of the past 16 years, Mueller's closed-door encounter escaped public notice because of the secrecy of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, FISC. But thanks to recent testimony from a former FBI lawyer, we now have a rare window into documented abuses of Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrants and how the court handled the matter. So, a testimony? We have a recent testimony? And up there, up top, it says, what does that say exactly? According to evidence gathered by congressional investigators. Congressional investigators' recent testimony. Sounds like something's going on. I wouldn't say nothing's going on. The episode is taking on new significance as Mueller moves into the final stages of his Russia probe, while evidence mounts that the FBI work preceding his appointment as special prosecutor may have involved improprieties in the securing of FISA warrants to spy on Donald Trump's campaign in the final weeks of the 2016 campaign. The sin that plagued the FBI 2 decades ago and that now lingers over the Russia case involves the omission of material facts by agents applying for FISA warrants in sensitive counterterrorism and counterintelligence cases. You guys remember the DIA document that nobody's allowed to see yet? The one that shows paperwork in favor of General Flynn, the exculpatory evidence that's still classified? Such omissions are a serious matter at the FISA court because it is the one court in America where the accused gets no representation or chance to defend himself. And that means the FBI is obligated to disclose evidence of both guilt and innocence about the target of a FISA warrant. Well, they sure as hell didn't do that, did they? All right, so here's where the premonition comes into play. Remember this name here. Tricia Anderson, who recently stepped down as the FBI's principal deputy general counsel, told House investigators late last year, remember that, told House investigators late last year in an interview that early in Mueller's FBI tenure, nearly 2 decades ago, the FISA court summoned the new director to appear before the judges to address concerns about extensive cheating on FISA warrants. It preceded my time with the FBI, but as I understood it, there was a pattern of some incidents of omission that were of concern to the FISA court that resulted in former Director Mueller actually appearing before the FISA court, Anderson told Congress. Other sources who worked for Mueller at the time told me the court's concerns arose in 2002 and 2003, shortly after America was stunned by the September 11, 2001 terror attacks. When the FISA court learned the FBI had omitted material facts from FISA warrant applications in more than 75 terrorism cases that dated back to the late 1990s. It says most of the omissions occurred were work that predated Mueller's arrival, the sources said, but the court wanted assurances the new sheriff in town was going to stop such widespread abuses. Excuse me. Mueller told the court the FBI had created a new system called the Woods Procedure, named for the FBI lawyer who drafted them, to ensure FISA warrant applications were accurate and did not omit material information, according to Anderson's congressional interview. My understanding is he committed to the court to address the problem, and then that the series of reforms that were implemented, including the use of the Woods form, were the direct result of his engagement before the FISA court, Anderson told Congress. So Robert Mueller was intricate to working with this guy Woods to implement the Woods form into the FISA court, in which case they totally threw that Woods procedure right out the window, with everybody signing it right up the line, right through Rosenstein and John Carlin. They're all going down. But remember that name, guys, right? Tricia Anderson. All right, guys, I attract your attention to this post on October 9th, 2018. General statement: we understand that there is extreme fatigue and frustration regarding the wheels of justice slow. Exclude emotion and personal desire. Instead, use logic and critical thinking based on situational awareness to undo a lifetime of evil and corruption, an infestation in the span of less than 2 years with a corrupt DOJ and FBI in place. Process and planning, law and order. Talk about the military op, all the people that have been fired. And speaking of people getting fired at the top of the DOJ, replacement, William Barr, I believe, was passed through the Senate panel today, 12-10, and is expected, they're saying on Fox, Greg Jarrett was saying next week he will probably be confirmed, and I think he will be. But here we have a list of all these people back in October of 2018 that were fired or cooperating witness. As you see, certain people will Bill Priestap there in the middle, Stroke, Lisa Page, all these different people removed, Rachel Brand, and then you see at the very bottom right now, Batter's Box. That's why I named it there. Batter's Box. So all these people were testifying, being removed, cooperating witnesses or not. Batter's Box. In baseball, that's a term. Means the person that's up to the plate. The batter's box. Not the on-deck circle, not the next person in line, but who's up to bat. Michael Steinbeck, John Glacalone, Randy Coleman, and Tricia Anderson in the batter's box. She's up to bat October 2018. All right, so I bring you back to here, to the Hill, where John Solomon reported yesterday, which was February 6, 2019. So we have October, November, December, January, February, basically 4 months. 4 months later, Tricia Anderson, who recently stepped down as the FBI's principal deputy general counsel, told House investigators late last year in an interview. Remember we talked about the interview and the testimony earlier? Very interesting stuff. I would say that's premonition. Did Microchip know that ahead of time? Patriot News, I don't really get time to watch them. Or excuse me, Patriot News I do get a time to watch. Patriot Soapbox, I don't get time to watch. Did Pamphlet tell us about this 6 months ago? That Tricia Anderson was about to be testifying? I don't think so. It's not knocking them at all, guys. It's knocking the people who are saying that, oh, Microchip is Q. Oh, Defango is Q. Oh, Pamphlet is Q. How many different Qs can we have? I mean, come on. Take a Q from me. None of these clowns are Q. Guys, here's another absolutely great piece on Miss Tricia Anderson. This is by Jeff Carlson at the Epoch Times. Guys need to definitely look into the Epoch Times. They got Brian Cates and Jeff Carlson at the very least putting out very good information. Senior FBI lawyer did not read Carter Page FISA before signing off on it. Congressional testimony by Tricia Anderson highlights unusual process used by FBI and DOJ in obtaining FISA warrant on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. So basically she goes on to say, hey, listen, all these people below me are career FBI agents. I had Rod Rosenstein signing this thing. Why did I need to read it? Basically, right? She was responsible for the legal oversight of the FBI's Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, applications process, and provided a final sign-off before FISA applications went to the FBI director level. Anderson, who supervised the FBI's attorneys involved in FISA applications, characterized her role as being involved at a supervisory level within the legal chain of command. She's SES, guys. Although she did not voluntarily reveal the information, she admitted during questioning that she was the individual responsible at the senior executive service level for signing off on the original Carter Page FISA application. SES. All right, it continues on. It says, the House Intelligence Committee noticed that Deputy FBI Director McCabe testified before the committee in December 2017 that no surveillance warrant would have been sought from the FISA court without the Steele dossier information. According to FBI counterintelligence head Bill Priestap, corroboration of the Steele dossier was in its infancy at the time of the initial Page FISA application. So then what happens to the separate findings that they're supposed to have each time they renew? Aha, total bullcrap, right? Anderson admitted the Page FISA process was handled outside of normal procedures, receiving early approvals from leadership officials at both the FBI and DOJ, including Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe and Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, prior to the document reaching her desk. So basically all these people that are at the sign-off level, I guess you want to say, are basically saying, well, all the people below me, they swore on it looked good, and there's this thing called a memo cover sheet, and if these FISAs have any issues, it would be in that cover sheet if there was any exculpatory evidence or anything like that. She's basically saying, hey, I didn't see any information on that cover sheet that would, lead me to believe I needed to delve into it any further. So I basically gave it a cursory look over and signed it. So basically she didn't read anything. She was going on the word of the people before her, which seems to be standard practice. All right, guys, and here it is today. John Solomon strikes again from the Hill. Adam Schiff and Glenn Simpson and their Forrest Gump-like encounter in Aspen. You gotta love it. The new House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff has proven to be his party's most effective antagonist toward President Trump. And now, with the new powers of being chairman, he is drawing both new weapons and new scrutiny. Sometimes such scrutiny inevitably turns to questions of hypocrisy, which bring us to the issue of some photographs taken at the prestigious Aspen Security Conference last July. They show Schiff meeting at the event with Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson, one of the key and most controversial figures in the Russian collusion scandal. Both men insisted to me, though, through spokesmen, that they only met briefly last July. At the time of the encounter, Simpson was an important witness in the House Intelligence Committee probe who had given sworn testimony about alleged but still unproven collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. Simpson ran the firm hired by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic Party to find dirt on Trump in Moscow. He employed retired British intelligence operative Christopher Steele, whose infamous and unverified dossier became the main evidence for the FBI's probe of the Trump campaign, particularly the surveillance warrant against Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Kaboom. And by the time of the meeting, House Intelligence Committee had already received evidence from a senior Justice Department official, Bruce Ohr, that called into question Simpson's testimony to lawmakers. Specifically, Simpson claimed he had not begun meeting with Ohr until after Thanksgiving 2016, well after the FBI had begun investigating Trump-Russia collusion and after the presidential election in which Simpson's client, Clinton, lost to Trump. But Ohr provided compelling evidence, including calendar notations, testimony, and handwritten notes, showing that Simpson met with him in August 2016, well before the election and during a time when Steele was helping the FBI start an investigation into Trump. When confronted with the Aspen Conference photos of Schiff in a sports coat and open-neck dress shirt and Simpson wearing casual attire, representatives for both men tried to minimize their discussion, insisting nothing substantive about the Russia case was discussed. Oh, I'm sure. He was just, testifying to your committee, and there was nothing going on. In the summer of 2018, Mr. Simpson attended a media-sponsored social event where he exchanged small talk with Rep. Schiff and many other people who were in attendance, Fusion GPS said in a statement to me. The conversation between the two was brief and did not cover anything substantive. There has been no subsequent contact between Mr. Simpson and Rep. Schiff. The congressman's response was even more vague. The chairman did not have any pre-planned meeting with Glenn Simpson, and any conversation with him at the Aspen conference would have been brief and social in nature, Schiff spokesman Patrick Boland said. Simpson has become a Gump-like character who keeps showing up in so many different places in the Russia scandal. He's the owner of the company that was paid by Clinton for the Steele dossier, the guy who hired Steele to create the dossier, the one who met with Orr at the Justice Department, who pitched reporters writing Trump dirt at the end of the campaign, and who met with the Russian women and American lobbyists at the heart of the infamous June 2016 Trump Tower meeting with Donald Trump Jr. and Natalia Veselnitskaya. And then he shows up with Adam Schiff in Aspen. It's interesting that Simpson is at the heart of the dossier, and the dossier played a mighty role in not only going after Carter Page, but in much of Adam and Eric Swalwell's quest to find collusion that Schiff would in fact, in that exact same conversation or time frame, be in conversation or appear to be in conversation with the guy who's principally responsible for the dossier, Conaway said. Whatever happened in Aspen won't stay in Aspen much longer. Expect Republicans in Washington to launch some questions at the House's new Intelligence Committee chairman. All right, and I thought I had to stress it a little bit more, guys, that for the better part of the year, this representative of California blatantly lied to the American people. And not only did he lie to the American people, but he made everybody think that Devin Nunes was lying to the American people, had his facts skewed, had his timelines off. But everything we've said in this video is absolute concrete fact per testimony from Congress. So there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was 100% lying. It's not bullying anybody or going against any political stance. It's just simply facts. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. He sat there and he lied to the American people. He was in the Gang of Eight. He had all the information. All right, guys, on Fox News, Trump rejects socialism at SOTU as expressionless Dems sit unmoved. Well, he was saying, record unemployment for women, African Americans, Mexicans, all minorities. We're energy independent, our economy's doing great, all these other different great things that he said is going on with our country, and they refuse to stand. But wait, they actually would stand at only one point. Let's see. Get up. Yep, he said women. Am I supposed to clap? So you see that? They're only going to stand when it's for them. They don't care that Americans have more money in their pocket, have to pay less taxes, have more jobs now. Oh, but there's more women in Congress than ever. Woo! Let's congratulate ourselves. Does nothing for the American people. All that does is show how disconnected the Democratic women especially are. All dressed in white. Oh my goodness, what a misnomer that is. All right, guys, truly the last thing. Today, Matthew Whitaker says he won't testify unless Dems withdraw subpoena threat. So they go into the story and it says, Chairman Nadler argued the vote on authorizing a subpoena was necessary in order to ensure that the top Justice Department official showed up and didn't rely on executive privilege to decline to answer particular questions. When we invite officials to testify before this committee, they have to appear. When we ask them questions, they have to provide us with the answers or provide us with a valid and clearly articulated reason to withhold certain information, Nadler said at a business meeting Thursday morning. Without the threat of subpoena, I believe it may be difficult to hold Mr. Whitaker to this standard. Democrats are eager to press Whitaker on whether he has sought to influence Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation and whether he in turn provided that information to President Trump. They are also eager to press the interim top cop on his decision to not recuse himself from overseeing the probe, Democratic lawmakers told The Hill. Come on. So anyways, guys, this is going to turn out to be public tomorrow. They said it's going to be a public hearing tomorrow, so I will definitely be listening in. I don't expect any fireworks. You never know, but I don't expect anything. I expect a lot of, I can't comment on ongoing investigations and the like, right? Because he's not going to leak anything. He's not a dummy. All right, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. Appreciate you tuning in. Before I let you go, I have a video hopefully coming out tomorrow night, if not, maybe Saturday morning, on the real truth about the climate on our planet and the reality of how they are playing with those numbers. So highly recommend you guys take a look at that. I appreciate you all tuning in, and until the next video, thumbs up, like, subscribe. Peace.